All right. Navigating life as an adult often means learning a lot about yourself and what you're passionate about. So, Megan, can you tell us how you discovered your passion, either personal or professional, and how that has shaped you?
Yeah. So when I think about my personal path, I had dreams since I was really little of getting married and raising a family, living on my own, and not necessarily having to live with my family and my parents. Not that that's bad, but that's just some personal goals that I had. I was always a pretty determined go-getter. I think I resonated with that one the most. I was ready to find a way, make it happen, while not being scared, of failing or rejection, and really just going after my passions. When it comes to relationships, that's a whole nother ballgame that we've talked about before, and I love that topic. We had dreams of moving out of state and really, creating our own path, but that was a big step, a scary step, honestly. And I had to advocate for what I really needed. It never stops, even to this day as an adult. When I first moved here, I was actually denied health insurance and care that I need to, function in everyday life, but I had to fight for it. And that was a good thing I was able to do that because I ended up getting the insurance I needed and the care I needed. But that's kind of just the reality is I have to fight for what the needs are for myself and my family. And then I think on a professional level, at a young age, I knew I wanted in some sense to be a storyteller or speaker of some sort and share my life with the world. Just really in hopes to encourage other people with SMA and to share my life with the non-disabled community. But it wasn't until that I was older that I really saw what that was going to look like. I had to get creative on ways to pursue my passion and make a career out of it. I was really passionate about educating kids, but that wasn't until I had my own children. But yeah, and that's kind of what I'm doing now is I'm an author and I have um, a brand that I do advocacy for children in the disability community. Um, but it took time to develop that.
Yeah, Megan, I totally hear what you're saying. I always knew that I was in love with storytelling. When I was a little kid, Box Office, Blockbusters, Star Wars, the whole bit. If you follow me on social media, you know I love Star Wars. But even also like the books that my mom introduced me to as a kid, I've always loved reading. I've always loved like getting lost in a story, but I didn't really realize how much I loved actually writing until I started dabbling in fan fiction, and that was kind of when everything clicked for me. But I stayed in school. I got my master's degree in counseling because I thought that as an adult, I needed an adult job. So I got my degree in counseling. But, all throughout school, I found myself returning to the stories that I made up in my head and to the stories that I just loved growing up. And it took me graduating with my master's to realize that, okay, actually writing is what I want to do with my life. And that may not be a professional adult job, but it is what brings me joy and fulfillment.
That's so awesome, Brianna. I was blessed to have parents who let me explore different types of music and art at a very young age, which have given me the power to express myself and has helped me find my voice throughout my life. Most recently, my passion for music and art have allowed me to take part in Spaces, which was a musical collaboration created for everyone with a disability as part of SMA My Way's song program. My brother Zach and I contributed to the song, which was so much fun, and I also got to design the album cover. So music and art really have taken me to so many great places.
Yeah.
Thank you to the three of you for sharing that. Kevin, how about you? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with Zarek about music and art, and it's allowed me so many opportunities to share my story and my passions with people. And Bree was talking about the books that her mom gave her when she was young, and I remember before I could even read, my sister would read Chronicles of Narnia to me, and so actually you can see books behind me. It's um, one of my favorite places to be is inside a book. But I think for me, ultimately, I figured out at a young age that what I love most to do in life is bring people together, and so having experiences with literature and music and art and some other different side jobs and hanging out with friends. What that looks like may take a different shape depending on the season of life or the situation that I'm in, the people that are around me, and the needs that they have, and so yeah, it takes different shapes, and I'm really thankful for the family that I grew up in that gave me kind of an eclectic experience to be able to say, all right, I want to bring people together. How do we do that now? What are the resources we have? And I think SMM My Way is just another way of doing that. So thankful for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, for me, I discovered my passion was making people laugh through telling stories. And it sounds like we have a lot of storytellers and artists on this panel. But I discovered it when I was in 5th grade, and my friend and I had this idea to make a comic book about a bunny rabbit that was a superhero. It sounds like something a 5th grader would think of. But my friend illustrated it. I wrote the story, and then we kind of like made a binding for it with like tape and glue. It probably looked like a hot mess. But we handed this comic book around to our friends on the playground and our parents, and seeing people respond and laugh to something that I had written filled me with a rush of adrenaline that was like unlike anything else. So I love that, and I wanted to do more of it. In early high school and college, many people encouraged me to be sensible about being a writer as a career. And so I began a blog kind of as an outlet for that passion while I was studying journalism so that I could get a real job as an editor or something like that, or I should say a safer job. But that blog, addressing that passion that I had to make people laugh ended up leading to a book deal, a nonprofit, and the rest is history. So pursuing that passion of making people laugh led to everything else.